Cyber Reapers. Hello, Cyber Reapers. So tonight or today, wherever you are, I'm going to be talking about an exciting book. First, real quick, I just want to say, because it's less than 3 weeks away from my book's debut, I just wanted to let you know that that's happening. In case you don't know already, it's a young adult science fiction thriller. So links for that are below in the description in case you want to know more about that. Alright, but enough about that. We are here to talk about a different book. A very exciting one. There we go. So you can actually see the full cover there. Also, the back is really cool too. It's a beautiful cover. And it's really fitting for the book. So, and it's a hardback, so I don't know why, I enjoy the feel of hardback covers. Paperback is nicer on my wrists, I think, for holding for a while, but I do really enjoy just how durable the hardcovers are so that I can bring them around everywhere. And this one I actually brought to a few different places. I think I started reading it at a doctor's office, which is kind of interesting given the, well, I'll talk about it, given what goes on in the book. So, to start, this book is called The Summer I Ate the Rich, and, well, I'll talk about the title in a bit. It's better to at least start with the premise before I really say my thoughts on the title, because it's more metaphorical than physical, even though the main character is a Haitian American zombie. So, she does eat people, kind of, but anyway. So it's called The Summer I Ate the Rich by Maika Moulite and Maritza Moulite. And so yeah, the main character, I'm getting the pronunciations for the names from an audiobook version of this, by the way. So I'm gonna try my best to flip the R for the main character's name. Let's see if I can do it whispering. Buriel. Yeah, okay, I can do it. Alright. Buriel is our main character, and she is a Haitian American zombie. Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and dive into the premise then, because that's the start of it. The idea is that she lives, in America with her mother, and they are both black, by the way. They are not they are low socioeconomic status, and Brielle's mother works for a very, very rich, influential family, She works for them, and Brielle, she really wants to be a chef, even though her mom wants Brielle to seek more, money-making avenues like a doctor, lawyer, engineer, that kind of level of thinking. But Brielle, her passion really is in cooking, so kind of behind her mother's back, Brielle will take on these cooking jobs, and the book kind of starts with Brielle taking on her first independent one, where she works with her friend to just have this event where people come and eat their food. And so that goes really well, and Brielle's really happy with it, although her mother finds out, so that was unfortunate. But yeah, her mother finds out, scolds her a bit, because it's their financial situation is very much not great, and Brielle's mom just really wants what is the best for her daughter, and actually all of her daughters, because Brielle isn't an only child. She has a lot of sisters, but they are back in Haiti, and Brielle is the only child who is a zombie. I was about to say zombie human mix. She's not really a mix, she is zombie. But her being rather than her zombie-ness being based in, like, American lore, where, like, zombies kind of lumber around, just always seeking humans to eat. It's more rooted in the Haitian idea of zombie lore, which, from my understanding of the book, is based in the fear of, like, being forced to come back to life, to just toil, to work, to have to do more labor. So she is, like, in control of her mind and instincts. She enjoys the taste and flavor of, like, brains, but she isn't, like, her senses don't get out of control. It's only when, like, there's some blood, like, if somebody, like, bleeds a decent amount, that her senses kind of go, blood would be kind of tasty right now. But she doesn't, like, completely lose it and have to, like, she doesn't completely not act human, I guess, or human in the sense of what, like, most people think of versus, like, American zombie lore, I guess. And also it comes with a bit of, like, a sense of control, kind of like this sort of mind or emotional or spiritual control over others or being controlled. So, yeah, and that comes back later. That's why I'm kind of prefacing with that now. So I said, Brielle really wants to be a chef, but the way things currently are, it's the summer. She is taking on this work position that she usually does at this restaurant, so she has a little bit of, like, some connections to restaurants, I guess, at least this one. Brielle's mom works for a rich family, right? And this rich family, I should really actually, Banks. Their last name is Banks. So yeah, the Banks family has kind of this, they're like four guys, 4 different generations of guys, and yeah, I guess that's all I'll say about that for now. There are 4 generations of guys, and why that's important is because one night when Brielle is waiting for her mom to get off of work at the big mansion place that the Banks live in, Brielle sees the eldest Banks. She sees him out on a walk, and she happens to be filming, for some reason or other, and ends up catching on camera a car speeding down the road, and, well, the car hits the eldest Banks family member, and Brielle catches it on camera, and the car just keeps speeding off, hit and run. So yeah, Brielle runs inside and tells the people there about what happened, and then, the eldest Banks member is rushed off to the hospital, but he's not in good condition. So, and in terms of what this means for Brielle and her mom mostly worked there, in particular for the eldest Banks member, to take care of him. So if he dies, Brielle's mother pretty much doesn't have a job. So right now they're not facing very good. The future's not looking too great, especially because the present isn't even very good with health insurance wise. Like, Brielle's mom is having a hard time getting her medication refilled, which she really needs in order to stop the pain that is affecting her from a work-related injury. So with that being the case, it's like, so they could really use more money fast or quickly, police. Like, they asked her, why didn't you just call the police immediately instead of running inside? And she said it's because she didn't, her phone plan was no longer existent. Like, she didn't have a phone plan that would, so she didn't think her call would go through. As a result from that, though, one of the bank's family members puts Brielle and her mother on their personal, family cell plan, right? But some incident happens there with that, where essentially Brielle ends up getting a bunch of texts that were supposed to be to Silas Banks, who is, I believe, the either second or third eldest of the Banks. Regardless, he's super influential, rich. Yeah. And he gets these texts coming in about, like, asking for moving forward on donation from him. And so Brielle, for a moment, is like, what if I, on behalf of Silas Banks, said yes to these donations? Because, like, 10,000, wait, what is it? 10, it was something, it was like 10 million or something, wouldn't even make a dent in his wealth. He probably wouldn't even notice it missing. So Brielle just on his behalf says, yeah, sure, why not? And just keeps, like, accepting, I think, 2 or 3 donation requests on his behalf before she's, caught. And so, yeah, she gets caught. But that results in her getting a new job opportunity, because in order to kind of do, I guess, in a public relations kind of thing, the Banks family went, yep, we meant to do that. That was all on us. And by the way, we are now introducing this new position of essentially, like, that benefits candidates from, like, lower economic status families. So we're bringing in Brielle as our first person who gets this new job position thing. And it's essentially so that she keeps quiet about the whole thing and just goes along with it. As part of this, though, her mom gets to be on her health insurance, which means her medication gets taken care of and everything. So, really, it's just, like, a lot of benefits are set up for Brielle. Except, of course, she has to work among a bunch of white snobby people who see her as a token addition to the group. And it's just, yeah, she faces a lot of microaggressions, and not even, like, just straight up aggressions. So, yeah, so she has to deal with that. But as she's doing this, even though there are setbacks, there's also through this job, she's able to get a little bit more power for herself and go, you know what, I'm going to make the most of this summer, even though I only have this position for the summer. I'm going to use this to make connections, and I'm going to boost my my cooking business. And so she does. And as part of her irritation for all the rich snobby people around her, that's where the whole eat the rich part comes in. Her friend who she's working with to get her cooking business off the ground, her friend's family owns a funeral home. That's it, a funeral home. And it has a lot of wealthy clients. So Brielle one day just kind of, whenever her friend's family isn't looking around, just takes, like, some pieces from, like, pieces of the wealthy deceased, and just like stores them so that she can use them during her like making dinners for the wealthy. So essentially, she makes wealthy people eat deceased wealthy people. And through that, I mentioned earlier with like the Haitian zombie aspect, if she sets a sort of intention for her food and has other people eat other people, I think from my understanding she's able to kind of influence their mind a little bit and their actions. It takes energy from her, but she's able to kind of do that. And so that's neat in of itself. And just all throughout the book, it's just like her, like slowly and steadily, like amassing like more influence for herself and just trying her best to help her mom and her family. And yeah, it's a really, I really enjoyed it. It just felt like it was just going and going and going, and just, I absolutely was there for the ride. So, and Brielle was super, she just had a lot of ambition, a lot of grit, and a lot of care for her mom and her family that I'm just like, I can't not like this character, you know, I have to like her, you know? And her sisters are really interesting as well. Because all throughout the book is divided into, I think, 3 acts, if I remember right, maybe 3 or 4. And there are a couple of, like, areas where, I think, like, intermission style things where, it's kind of like a flashback to provide more context for Brielle's mom and family and her father. By the way, her father is out of the picture. He is dead. He died from, it was like a medical related, or drug related. It was an overdose, I believe, which comes up again later, but I'm not going to tell you about that because that involves events that are weaved together that I think are a little further beyond the premise and the blurb. So I'm just trying to kind of stick to that so that you get the vibe of the book without me like going into spoiler territory, you know. But yeah, the kind of intermission-y parts in between like the current events of the story are really interesting to provide more context for Brielle's family and her capabilities, and it really just it almost gives the book a play-like feeling. And when I say play, I mean like a theater play, where you are watching this occur and I can like visualize kind of the stage effects and the actors whenever they bring in Brielle's sisters, because they're the ones that tell their voices tell the story, the history of their family. They come in as like a kind of Greek chorus style. I don't know if you're familiar with like ancient Greek plays, or I think Roman plays did this too. They kind of appropriated, if I remember right, where what they would do is there would be a chorus to kind of explain context for whatever present events are going on. When I say chorus, I mean like a group of people, right? And their voices would like give background context for what's going on. So that's kind of what Brielle's sisters do during those intermittent parts, and they kind of come in for their own chapters as well throughout the main part of the story. And what they do during that part is kind of give commentary. And I really appreciate the commentary because, like I said, it gives it kind of it gives it an immersive experience, like a theatrical kind of an experience, where you're like watching this happen as well as, you know, visualizing it in the style of the way you do when you're reading a book. But it almost gives it it has a meta feel to it. So if that's something you'd enjoy, I think this book would really appeal to you, because just the style of it is really interesting and how it's told. Yeah. I have to pull up my notes real quick, because that was one point I really wanted to make sure I included, because it's exposition. That's what the Greek chorus style does. And so let's see, differences between Haitian zombie and American zombie lore. Let's see. What else? I already said, like, Brielle takes risks. She's really ambitious. I love that about her. And her relationship with her mother, because they're both, like, actively trying to look out for each other. Let's see. And I was more interested in, like, the relationship between Brielle and her mother than, like, Brielle and her love interest. But the love interest aspect is very interesting. I won't tell you a lot about that, but it's compelling because their mutual connection or mutual benefits from each other are based in keeping each other's secrets. Let's see, did I write anything? Yeah, the romance solidifies due to a bond to keep each other's darkest secrets. So I find that aspect compelling. Also, the aspects of control in the story, or the questioning of, like, does the main character go too far on certain things? And honestly, I don't think she does, but I could definitely see a discussion. Like, it would be interesting to discuss with somebody, does Brielle go too far when it comes to, like, using her food and zombie abilities to manipulate other people and to get them to kind of do more what she wants them to do in order for her to, like, get success, you know? And if I remember right, her justification for it is, well, other people use their connections and their family and their other people use unfair means to get ahead as well, so I'm just using what I have to get ahead, or to even just match pace with anybody else. And I mean, honestly, I consider it fair, you know, but, like, I'm not in that position, so I don't even think I get a say. But it's like, if I'm just discussing this in terms of the theoreticalness of the book, and Brielle's character, I would say, that sounds plenty justifiable, especially in, like, today's current events of how black women are treated, you know? So it's just, if you're a zombie, I get it. Using your I don't know exactly what it would be called, but I guess using your powers, right? To be able to get, like, a little bit of something for you to be able to, like, have decent health insurance so that you aren't in pain all the time, or so your mother isn't in pain all the time. Just even, like, to get something beyond, well, to get the barest necessities and also, like, something beyond that makes sense to me, you know? So anyway, I very much loved Brielle's character, and her actions and behavior were very compelling. I think she's one of my favorite characters that I've read in a while. And I'd love to see more of her. I don't think this book is a series, but if it happens to be, that'd be interesting. Let me see if there's a number on the side. No, there is not a number. But, I don't know. There could be more, there might not. But yeah, I remember seeing this book, I think on social media, if I remember right. It was, like, on a list, or at least a few lists, I want to say, because the cover became familiar enough to me where, when I saw this in a bookstore, I was going indie bookstore hopping around Houston, and, where was this from? Brazos. I think this was from Brazos Bookstore, if I remember right. I know it wasn't Blue Willow, because Blue Willow was where I got that one, so yes, this was Brazos Bookstore, because I went to Blue Willow, Brazos Bookstore, and Murder by the Book, I believe. Yeah, Murder by the Book. I went to that day, all three of those, and I sorry, there was a notification on my computer and it rang really loud in my headphones. That has not happened to me before. Okay. I mean, not no, while recording. Okay, what was I saying? Brazos Bookstore is where I got this one. So yeah. And Blue Willow, I got another book that I plan on reading sometime soon. I don't remember the title of that one, I'm sorry. I remember it has a naturey looking cover though. And then, T. Hang on, I'll get it. From Murder by the Book, I got, it's by Hafsa Faisal. Tempest, Tempest of Tea, something like that. It's like A Tempest of Tea, I think. Or The Tempest, no, I think it is A Tempest of Tea. Anyway, that day I got those 3 books from those 3 bookstores, and I remember the other 2 are from the other 2 places, so this is from Brazos Bookstore, that's where I got this one. I finally remembered. Okay. But yeah, I remember seeing this there, and I was like, I think I have seen this before, and I remember having a positive association with it. So, that's generally how I get books in person whenever I go looking for books in person to get. It's just a matter of like seeing it enough times. So, just as a reminder, in case I haven't said, if you're an author who has a book, marketing works. And if I remember right, I think there was something done where somebody estimates it's like somebody has to see, or a customer or a reader has to see like a book cover like 7 times or so before feeling like compelled to buy it, if I remember right. I don't know, that could be made up numbers, but I just kind of keep that in my head as a general guideline of like, well, marketing helps, you know? And for me, generally, I think that's true too when I'm looking at books online and seeing like authors' social accounts. For example, I think I got How We End. I believe it's How We End. Is it How We End? Because I know How We Survive is the second one. How We Began, How We Survive. Yes, I believe it's How We End by Ellen Juniper. I remember that one I had to see multiple times, but like every time I just saw like positive association with. So every time I saw like positive association with the book, it just made me feel more compelled to get it. I think same thing with Ria Parisi, or is it Parisi? It's funny, I remember the author names now more than I remember the book names. Wolves and Stags, that was it. That one, same thing. It was like just a multiple times seeing it over and over and positive associations with it, with the book. So I think that's really what gets me to buy a book, is just seeing it over and over again in positive connotation. Yeah. Well, buy or rent, because pretty much almost all the books I read at this point I either have already owned for a while or I'm getting them from the library. Like with the exception of like these 3 books that I just recently bought. So yeah. I guess, yeah, that's all. I'm just like letting you know in case that's helpful information for you. As an author, Enos. And I'd be curious to know from other readers as well, like what makes you buy a book or read a book, even like get it from the library or something. Because for me, I think it is just seeing it enough times in a positive association or connotation. So, and that's what happened with this one. I think I can't exactly pinpoint where I saw The Summer I Ate the Rich, but I'm pretty sure it's like part of those lists that bookstagrammers form or make, where they have like a bunch of books on there under like a same theme, like books by black authors or books by queer authors, or something like that, books by disabled authors. I'm still looking for books by disabled authors. I don't know why they're hard to find. I look them up. Like, I keep searching up for specific lists, but it's just, I don't know. I've read some, but I feel like there's more nonfiction, or I feel like it's easier to find the nonfiction books than the fiction ones, and I want a blend of both, if possible. But anyway, yeah. So, where was I though? I wanted to make sure I had all the points that I had written down. Written is written a word? I'm not even tired right now. I'm just confused, I guess. Okay, the romance, it looks like I hit all the points. Let me see about anything in the... Yep, I covered the premise too. Alrighty, so actually I did cover all my notes. That's excellent. Yeah. Sometimes I just need to look at the notes again, especially for books that it's been a little bit since I read them. And actually this one I think I read about 2 weeks ago. But because I needed to do a fast turnaround video for last week, due to just being so busy, I didn't end up doing this one because I wanted to make sure I did it during a time when I would feel like I could do the book justice and give it a nice, nice video where I'm not super duper tired or, I don't know, just not focused, I guess. And right now it's actually daytime for me, so you might be hearing more background sounds than usual. And I think I am going to try to do more in the day if I can, more of these recordings, just because I've been finding as of late I am just so tired by the time I get back to this room at the end of the day that I'm going, I don't think I can talk about these books well enough while I'm in this state. And I used to be able to more, but that was because I was a little more awake at those times of night, and now I'm not really getting back into that sort of awake period for an hour or so to be able to record these. So I think doing it during the daytime would probably be the best, I guess the best thing to make sure these books actually get me or I'm actually talking about these books when I am able to, without being too out of it, too dazed, I want to be enthusiastic. Because I feel like the books that I'm trying to promote, I really genuinely enjoyed them, and so I'm hoping that I can help just a little bit with getting them just a little bit more exposure, And also I enjoy hearing about books. Like me personally, I enjoy hearing a lot about books before I even decide to read them. I already kind of mentioned that a little bit of wanting positive connotation in association with a book before getting it or before reading it. And so I'm hoping that this kind of contributes to that for you if you're listening, to find more books. Or also if you just want to hear about cool books and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to read any, or I'm not going to read all of these, but I still want to hear about them, to hear about how cool they are and how interesting they might be, even if they don't sound like quite the kind of thing I want to, spend my hours of time on, and that's perfectly fine. I think it's cool to just learn about things and not necessarily immerse yourself in them. I like learning about various video game lore, but I don't actually actively play them, it's kind of like that with me. I feel like I could see somebody doing something like that with books as well, and I think I even do that to a certain extent with some books. So yeah, anyway, for whatever reason you listen to these videos, I hope they help. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just I quite enjoyed this book, so I'm hoping, yeah. Oh, I did want to mention though, because I think, I want to say I remember reading a few reviews of this on Goodreads, and I think some of the problem with the good. Okay, I don't want to. The reason I'm saying this is sometimes books are categorized in certain ways, like certain genres or whatever, in that big list of like tags that a book gets on, say, Goodreads or some other platform. And that's sometimes they can be a little misleading, or they can lead to certain expectations of what a book is like when it's not exactly. Like, it's a blend of those tags, not an individual one. So that's part of why for these videos I don't tend to state the genre of a book very often, because I like to just describe the premise and then kind of some things about the style of the book, without like limiting it to, or without starting with like a idea of the genre, I guess, because sometimes that can lead to expectations that just aren't quite there. And for example, I think a few reviews that I saw had a problem with labeling this as horror, because I would say personally, it's a lot more like a contemporary, I would just say contemporary, and it's everything that I described, of like, it has some kind of coming of age elements, but it's more for like, elder teenager kind of years, or young adults, like, which would be categorized as new adult in literature, but it means like the 20-year-olds or young 20s, older 20s, that kind of range. I'd say it is contemporary, and with like a bit of, it has a bit of magiciness or a bit of fantasy in it. But categorizing it as horror is, I feel like, leads to expectations that don't quite match the feel of this book. It does definitely have horror elements in it, and it has, it has the zombie thing, it has the eating people thing in it, it has elements of control and forced labor, especially when it's talking about like the history of Burio's family, but it's not horror in the sense of like what someone might imagine. I don't watch many zombie movies. I don't know, it's not zombie apocalypse horror, not that kind of thing. It's not like, oh my god, Burio eats people, that's so, it's not terrifying kind of horror, I guess. It's more chill, I guess, I would say. And so, yeah, I guess that's kind of an explanation on why I don't really, I try to stay away from using words like the genre unless I feel like it evokes, unless I feel like it actually like sets the expectations based on what most people view that genre as, And on Goodreads, I noticed this book is marked horror, and I think, oh, my cat has entered the room. Anyway, he wants me to feed him, so I'll try to finish up. So I think he's gonna keep meowing, isn't he? Okay. Horror, right? Okay. So I think that's what like tripped up some people, because they were expecting like zombie eating brains, attacking people kind of horror, when that's not really what this book is. So just like, I'm hoping that helps with like setting your expectations on the tone of the book a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. And I think that does about cover everything I wanted to cover. So, yeah. Alright. So, I guess I am done speaking for now. I think usually I'm a little better at like concluding myself when I'm tired, because I feel like, okay, I'm tired, let's just chill and then go by. But yeah, I guess that's all I really have to do. So, thank you for listening. You're a very good listener. And I hope wherever you go, whatever time it is, whatever you're doing next, I hope you have fun, or at least it's worthwhile, whatever you're doing after this. And I hope this video helped in some way or another. Alright. Okay. Bye. Also, Penguin, why did you fall over? Are you trying to sabotage this video?